You sit here in Europe, in your cushy middle-class chairs. I'm serious about this. And you want to tell me that $2 a day is not a dramatic improvement in their life? It is. And there's no way for them to get to the point to be as rich as you are unless they go through that phase. And if you deny them the ability to make $2 a day, by charging $4, by insisting the companies pay $4, and therefore they withdraw completely from the market. Because you know what? I'm not paying $600 for this. I'll pay $300. And if I stop buying this, who suffers? That Chinese kid who's right now making whatever, $3 a day or whatever, right? And his alternative is to go back to the farm. And you know what they did in the farms? 40 years ago, when the Chinese were all producing agriculture, they were dying of starvation. 40 to 60 million Chinese died of starvation under Mao. Suddenly, you've given them opportunity to actually attain middle classhood, to learn a skill, to have a profession, to make money, to make themselves into something. And by the way, the Chinese never complain about how much they're being paid. You guys complain. We complain in the West. Because yes, to our middle-class comfy lives, that seems ridiculous. But that's because you've never lived in real poverty. Nobody in England has lived in real poverty the way the Chinese and the Africans and the Indonesians live. Korea is an interesting case study, right? You've got North Korea and South Korea. 50, 60, 70 years ago, South Korea was as poor as North Korea. They were both dirt poor. And then South Korea instituted some economic freedom. And it made it possible for people to go and work for $1 a day, for $2 a day. And they developed skills, and they increased their productivity. And they started building more stuff. And capital came in and increased their productivity even more. And suddenly, and you go to Seoul today, and they're as rich as you are. But in 70 years they did, or 60 years, they did what you've done in hundreds of years. How did they do it? Because of the ability to slowly ratchet up. Now, if you demand that they skip and get to your standard of living like that, then they will stay poor forever. And that's what you're condemning them to. You're condemning them to eternal poverty. A kid who is getting $1 or $2 a day, his alternative is to die in the fields. You're doing him a favor by giving him the $2 a day. And he's producing something, and he's learning a skill at the same time. And one day he'll run the factory. But if you demand that he gets paid $4, he'll never have the job, he'll never have the factory, and he'll stay poor for the rest of his life. And all you have to do to see this in real action is go to Asia and see how they live under poverty, and see how these countries are growing rich. What helps poor countries is freedom. You give them the rule of law, you give them property rights, you give them property, you give them capital, you give them a job. That's how you create wealth. Not by giving them handouts. So 1 billion people have come out of poverty. Now, I know some people have said, all you guys care about is the rich. Somebody said, what you care about is the rich deserve it. You know what? I don't care about the rich. They don't need taking care of, right? They're doing great. I care about the poor. I care about the poor. And the only system in human history, to help the poor, to help ambitious poor people rise out of poverty and become rich, has been capitalism.